Buongiorno, everybody. We are here today making another gift from the kitchen, but today this one's not edible. But we are going to have some fun with this, and if you have people in your family you want to give a gift to, or kids in the family who want to do something, we are this year making useful gifts. So one of the things I like doing is ornaments, Christmas ornaments, because it's a memory. It's something that everybody can always use a couple extra Christmas ornaments, and it's something from the heart, something people will bring out every year and go, oh, this is from such and such, or from so and so, or reminds me of, you know, this person, and it's kind of really a lot of fun. So what we're going to make today is some homemade, I'll call it Play-Doh, homemade, Play-Doh ornaments. We're going to make a dough that's not an edible dough because it's almost all salt. And we're actually going to make two different kinds, because this way you can make whichever one you have the ingredients for, or you may find that you like the consistency of one over the other, so maybe you make a small batch of each. They're completely different. One of them is a salt flour dough, and one of them has no, oh, the oven's ready. Have it turned on ready, because we're going to bake these, so that way when they're done you can just take out some paints and paint them, decorate them, put the year on them, whatever, and then once they're fully dried, first of all, you're not going to paint them until they're fully, well, they're cooked, they're going to be dried out. You're going to paint them once they're dried. You can put some Mod Podge, or you can just put some clear shellac, or you know what, if you don't have any of those, just take some household glue, whether it's like Elmer's glue or wood glue, and just put it in a little dish with a paintbrush and brush it over, and it dries clear and it seals it also. So all these crazy little things that you can do. So we're going to start with the salt dough, because that's when we're going to use the flour for. Then I can get it out of my way. So the salt dough this is kind of a bigger recipe, so I'm going to cut it in half. Normally it's 4 cups of flour to 1 cup of salt, so I'm going to do 2 cups of flour to half a cup of salt. I'm just going to do a half, because I'm going to make 2 different kinds. So 2 cups of flour, and then half a cup of salt. Just cheap salt, 47 cents, you know. This isn't the stuff I usually cook with. I usually use my good sea salt, but this is perfect. 47 cents, 2 cups of flour. This is really inexpensive. I'm gonna put another teaspoon. Like it's gonna change the flavor or something. And then this takes 1.5 cups of water. So therefore, since I cut it in half, 3/4 of a cup of water. This is just plain old water. Let's see, where's the 3/4 cup mark? Okay. Now, one of the things you can do is, if you want to color the dough, you can put a little bit, you can make this in batches, so you can have colored dough, or you can just make it the plain, and it'll look like bread almost when it's cooked, but then once you paint it, it makes it really cute. But you can color the dough if you want to make different batches, and make like a little red hat or a little green scarf or whatever you want to do on different items. You can do that too. I'm going to do that next round, but this I'm just going to make some plain ones to show you how to make the dough. So I'm just doing this by hand because this is easy enough. You can do it in your mixer if you don't want to get your hands all gunky, because in the beginning it's gunky. And I always put 90% of the water in of something before I add the end of it, just in case sometimes you don't need it. And just like I do with my bread dough, and remember, this is just flour, salt, and water. Also pay attention, if you have any cuts on your fingers, make sure you put something on them, like some liquid bandage or something, because otherwise the salt burns. All right, let's put this extra little bit of water in. This is almost ready to go, almost sticking together. Then I'll probably just turn it out here on the board, just like I do when I make all my bread and cookie doughs by hand. I guess it does take the whole 3/4 cup there. There we go. Perfect. And just like any of our other, dough things that we make, just gonna knead it until it's all kind of nicely together. Get all the dough, all the flour, mix it all in, Let the dough clean your board. And this is so fun because this is a fun thing, another different kind of thing that you can do around the table. Once again, you're bringing your family, yourself, your kids. It could be you and your husband or wife, or you and your sister or brother, you and a friend, your roommate, your kids, and you get to the table and you make something for other people. This is going to be fun. And then once you got it all nice and together, you do want to just knead it for a little bit. You know me, embrace the knead. Embrace the stir, embrace the cooking. And this is my today's arm workout. Boom. I gotta be careful, I'm gonna knock these things off the counter. So see, this is not that big of a ball, one little ball. So the 4-cup recipe probably wouldn't be too big, and especially if you're doing, you're making a bunch. You can make a bunch of gifts. But you really want to knead this good though. You really want the salt to really blend in, and it to really, and the flour to absorb all the water. You don't want it to be too gritty. The more you blend it together, the smoother and nicer the dough is. Then when you roll it out, you can have a nice, smooth dough. All right, so now we're gonna set that there for a second. Oh, you know what? The other one, I'm gonna just put this bowl over it. I just wanna keep it covered and let it sit for a second because we're gonna make this other dough that's completely different, and then while that's cooling, we'll make these because you have to make the doughs differently. This one you do heat it up. So cornstarch, and this one is just cornstarch, baking soda, and water. So this one is, we're gonna do 1/2 cup of cornstarch, 1 cup of baking soda. So let's open these babies up. Now, when I'm cooking, food-wise, I buy organic, non-genetically modified cornstarch. Same thing, my baking soda. But for this kind of stuff, I just use the really inexpensive. This was $1 and change, and the baking soda was under $1. So, okay, so back to the grind here. This isn't even the fun part yet, although I think you guys know by now that I love kneading dough. It's just, to me, it's cathartic. As they say, it's healing, it's soothing, it's all that baloney. Okay, so this is a 1/2 cup measure. So we are putting in 1/2 cup of cornstarch into this little pot I have right here. Let's see if I can do this without spilling it all over Kingdom Come. So, whoop. As it goes flipping up in the air all over there. 1/2 cup of cornstarch and 1 cup of baking soda. So, we do 2 of these 1/2 cup measures. Come on. 1. And 2. I think it was a little short. Okay. And with this one, we're going to add 3/4 cup of water. So this one is a smaller recipe, so I didn't half it or anything. Probably going to make me the equivalent. Oh, just almost perfect. Without even trying. Okay, so we're going to turn. Wait a minute. Let me get a spoon. Just mix this up a little. And I'm going to go ahead and just mix the water in. And you can, oh shoot. Look what I just did. I poured the big thing of water in. Hold on. Luckily it was just sitting on top. Instead of my little 3/4, I'm like, gosh, that's a lot of water. Okay, let's move the water out of the way. Oh, good grief, Charlie Brown. Okay, and I think I'll just put a lid, because I think the only thing that came out was a little bit of the cornstarch. See, this is what happens. Real life in Dorina's kitchen. You know, I've been having a lot lately. Maybe something's wrong with me. Okay, so we're going to stir this up. You know, I have a feeling I kind of blew out a little bit of the innards, so we're just going to throw in just a smidge of cornstarch, probably like a tablespoon, and same thing with this. An extra little tablespoon of baking soda. You know, today I wore my red apron and my Be Happy shirt, so I don't care what's going on. I'm happy. So we're just going to heat this up until the cornstarch is going to thicken, supposedly. And we'll see if my mixed up proportions where I had to dump and re-add. If not, I'll just start over, but that's okay. So this has got to warm up because then the cornstarch doesn't thicken until it's warm. And same thing with that, you can add a food color to it or you can leave it as is and paint it afterwards. This is going to be kind of like a smoother, kind of more elasticy kind of dough. This is going to be more like a bread kind of, maybe sugar cookie-ish kind of dough. They have a little bit different consistency. I'm going to move this darn water out of the way. I think I just like pouring out of that container. It's just so pretty. Aha, this is starting to, oh, look at this. It's getting thick. It's bubbling. So while that's cooking up, we are going to take a piece of this. It cuts so nicely. Let's stir. Hold on. We're doing two things. Oh, yeah. This you got to watch then at the end, because in the end then it's going to get real thick real fast, but you don't want it to burn. Now it's really turning into a paste. All of a sudden it was liquidy, then bubbly. Now it's getting pasty, and just a little bit more on the heat. It's going to get thicker. I think it's going to be, I think we saved it. I'm going to turn this heat off and then just let this sit in the hot pan for a few more minutes. Okay. I'm going to spread it out around the pan. Let that cool off for a minute. I'm going to give it a couple minutes and then I'm going to turn it into a bowl where it's cool and not in the hot pot. So, all right. So now here's the fun part. We're going to take this beautiful dough and roll it out. What's nice about this dough is it doesn't stretch, it doesn't come back because there's no leavening agent whatsoever, so there's no stretchiness going to be there. So you want to roll this nice and smoothly, make sure it's nice and even, and honestly, a little thinner is better than too thick because then it takes longer to cook, and if the inside doesn't cook all the way, then it becomes, you know, gives it a chance to have air in it, and if there's air and moisture, there will come, you know, mold and germs and whatever else. But you want to get this nice and smooth. Oh, it's so smooth. You want to give it some nice pressure. You don't want to get cracks in the dough. Now the thing is, if you get cracks in it when they bake, it's okay because you can fix that with paint really easy. Or you can take a little bit of just flour and water that makes almost like a glue, and you can kind of brush it on and let it dry, and it fills in the cracks almost like a, I don't know, like something, like a fresco, putting some thinness, you know, just on top. Okay. Some little bumps here. There we go. I'm a little kind of picky, so I want them. Okay. So now I have Christmas ornaments, Christmas cookie cutters. Let's take these here. And these are so cute. So I've got candy cane. Oh, and I want to show you something. Hold on. Sorry. Some of my fun little tools. These are actually metal tools that you use for pasta, but you can roll these or you can use them as design elements. And then of course my wonderful skewers. These are good for making designs, so I'll show you. Everybody's got these kind of like kitchen skewers, or if not, a pencil or a pen or any little stick you've got. So anyway, so like for example, let's do a candy cane. And they're nice because it's not a sticky dough. So I've got a nice candy cane here. Get a cookie sheet. I'm going to put the candy cane on here. And what I'm gonna do, well, hang on, let me make a bunch of these and then I will show you how we're gonna decorate them. So I got a star. What's nice about these, you can use whatever size you want. And sometimes I don't like ornaments that are too big. So you can decide how you like things. You know, do you want to put a tree on your tree? I don't know. A little gingerbread person, an angel. Angels are my favorite. My girl is my angel. She's gonna be home in a couple of days. I'm so excited. There's a bell. I also have, I've got a big star instead of a little one in case you want to make one to put on like one of your little mini trees. There's a smaller tree here as opposed to the bigger tree. I'm going to make a little tree. Okay, I'm just going to pull this dough off. Then I'll re-roll it. And I'm going to put these pieces on here. My little tree and my bell. Now, if you make a bunch that are two different, like say you make a bunch of smaller ones and a bunch of bigger ones, put them on two different sheets and cook the bigger ones together with the smaller ones. I mean, the big ones together with the big ones and the small ones with the small ones. So what I'm going to show you here is with this, I'm going to make the stripes on my candy cane. So I'm just going to push them down on here. Because then afterwards, when I go to paint it, it's going to have, I don't know if you can see that, but I just kind of put, you know, striations there in the candy cane. And then you can make like, if you want to put little, or maybe I'll use this to make a design at the bottom of the angel's skirt. Oh, that's cool. And this one is smaller. Maybe this will be for her angel wings. And just basically, you can't really see it much in the dough now, but when you go to paint it, it's going to look cool. So this has like a swirly design in it. With the star, you can kind of do the same thing. Just go right around in each point. So it's got like, you know, it looks like it's, I don't know if you can see it, but it looks kind of cool. So see, I've got this swirly thing, and then I just kind of, whoop! I put the little designs in it, so it's going to look like rays of sun, or rays of sun, star rays. And then the bell, I think I'm just going to let that be because I'm going to just paint that. And now, the other important thing is make your hole. Now, you can use a straw, which I don't have any straws anymore, so because that's not cool. So I'm just going to use this. I'm going to make a hole in the top. I'm just going to make a hole and then just kind of wriggle it around a little bit. Make it nice and smooth. If it makes a little bump at the top, just smooth it out. You want it just big enough. Make sure you kind of swirl it around just a teeny tiny bit so that you can then put a string or a ribbon through it. I hate putting a hole in the angel's head, but you know, got to do what you got to do. Maybe afterwards when I do the angel, right at the top, I'll take a little teeny piece of ribbon or a little piece of something and glue it to the top so it kind of covers the hole and it makes like a little, you know, like a little halo. That's the word I'm trying to think of. I had a little one here in the... Okay. And then, there we go, smooth that out. So I've got these nice ornaments. I'm going to go ahead and stick these in the oven. So this kind calls for a 300 oven for 30 minutes. The other kind calls for 175 oven for an hour. So I made a 200 oven right now, so I'm going to try both of them. So I did a kind of medium. These are just going to go low and slow. And but really, truly, I think if they start to turn color, it's okay because you're going to paint them, but you don't want them getting dark. Not more than an off-white or a light golden. Otherwise, you know, then they get too dark and then they're brittle. But enough that they're, and I just want to show you really quickly. See, I don't know if you can see the thickness of mine. They're not too thick. They're not too thin. You know, not paper thin, but they're not big fat things because otherwise they will take too long to cook and dry, and then they'll more likely crack. So let's check out really quickly before this dries up. Let me put this I'm gonna wrap this up in some plastic. Hold on, I've got a bag right here. And very quickly put this in this bag so that it stays moist. And just a bunch of crumbs at myself. Okay, and now I'm gonna take this one and let's see if this may take a little bit. This is too hot to do. I'm gonna put it here. Ooh, hot. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of spread it out on my board here for a few minutes and let it cool off. And as it cools off, it will thicken up. But we're gonna treat this the same way. It has a different consistency and it you know, just cooks differently. You can make either dough with whatever you've got. So if you've got, everybody's got flour and salt, but you may not have a whole cup of salt today. But you may have a spare box of cornstarch, and everybody's got some baking soda, even if you take the baking soda that's out of the refrigerator. Now, another thing you can do, which I didn't do right now, was you can add, like I said, you can add food coloring, so you can just add a drop to the dough and make the whole piece of dough. So like maybe if I made 4 little mini batches and I can make some red and some green and some white and maybe some black to have outlines or something. And then you can also, if you want, flavor the dough. Now, don't go crazy with the flavors. If you have kids that you think might end up eating it, then leave them flavorless. But if you want to give them, like, say, a Christmassy scent, put a little bit of, you know, like a little bit of oil. This is a cinnamon oil. Put a little drop of cinnamon, or you can actually put powdered cinnamon in it. It'll have a brown tone to it, but it could, you know, depending what you're making, you could do some of that and make some just plain simple cutouts with a pretty colored ribbon, and you have this cinnamon smelling ornament. Now, one of the things that I'm gonna do, let's see, this is cooling slowly, but not quite. Oh, there we go, it's getting there. It's getting there, and the more it cools, the more doughy it becomes. And all I need to do, this is a little stickier of a dough, although this could be, I haven't made this one in a while myself. I usually do the sugar, the salt one. I'm gonna just add a little cornstarch to this on the outside and on the other side to help it kind of absorb, and then it'll keep it from sticking to the, okay, it's starting to cool off. I might be able to knead this now, let's see. Yeah, getting there. Still warm. The cooler it gets, the more perfect of a dough it is to roll out and do. Oh, this one's a whole different textural experience. With that on the bottom and on the top, and so I can spread it out with that sticking to me. Let that sit for a minute. And then we're gonna make one more thing. So this dough we're making in order to make something. This is a dough that we're gonna cook, and we're gonna turn it into, you know, turn it into a present. But you can also make homemade Play-Doh for the kids, and it lasts a long time. You can put colors in it, you can put flavors in it, and instead of going and buying that Play-Doh at the store, you know, you can make your own. Get your own jars, like mason jars or some cute plastic jars, you know, because this is for the kids. Cute little containers, and label them and put, you know, grandma's Play-Doh for, you know, little grandchild, whatever the name is, or whatever. You know, you can personalize it, make it really cute, and they have their own Play-Doh. And when it, you know, eventually it dries out, but there's actually little tricks and tips to keep it, you know, replenish it for a while, and then you make more next time, make some different colors. It's a lot of fun, and it's fun for you, and it's fun for the kids, and you can have it at your house for them when they come over, or you can give it to them as a gift for Christmas, and it's a homemade gift. Let's try this. Okay, we'll cut this in half, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna roll it out. Now be careful rolling this one because it's softer than the salt dough. You know, it's got more substance to it. So this one here, if you find it's thin, which it is thinner, you can take a piece of parchment paper. And actually roll this on the parchment. That way you can just pick up the whole piece of parchment paper. You can pick up the outside pieces, you know, off of the design. I'll show you what I'm talking about. And put it right on the cookie sheet. So just roll this out. Yeah, I just made this, because I folded it over, I messed it up. So let's roll it again. There we go. So I want it to be nice and always kind of flour or dust your rolling pin. Okay. And feel it. You can feel if it's thinner or thicker in one spot or another. Kind of want to try to make it, you know, as uniform across the way as possible. When you're rolling anything from Play-Doh to pie crust, when you get to the edge, always lighten up a little on your rolling pin because it's so easy to push down at the edge and then your edge gets flat and skinny and then it burns. Okay, so we'll make a candy cane in this kind. Oh, come on. Oh, he came all the way off, so push him out. It would be smart to, you know, dip your ornaments in the cornstarch and then they don't stick. I'm just going to put these 3 in right now just so we can see the difference. And I'm going to, not forget, to make my little ornament hole, you know, my ribbon hole at the top. Okay. And then the rest we're going to paint the designs on. Although I kind of really like this. We're going to put this at the base of the feet too. And the arms. There. And the neck. Gotta have like a V-neck. V-neck sweaters, you know, that's all the thing. So there's my little people. And they're going to go in here also. Wow, they're really drying up in there nicely. I can see the clay ones. The salt clay are really coming out nice. And now see now this dough is, now that it's cooling off, it's a nice soft dough. Really easy to work with. Easy to work with, and yet you gotta be careful. It's actually a little harder to work with because it's softer and stickier, but it's really nice. And if you just want to make it, if you do my actual recipe without accidentally putting too much water in it to start with, it'll probably be just a smidge firmer than this. But this is already firming up as it cools off and as I play with it. So I'm going to cover this one also. Put this in here with this one and just cover it with the plastic. Okay, that's good. So there's also a Play-Doh recipe that I will post on my, you know what, let's make one. Let's make one Play-Doh recipe that you can then make for the kiddies. We're going to start with this. We're just going to make one, we're going to make one color. So we're going to do 2 cups of flour, three-quarter cups of salt, and I will put these all on my blog on my website, and I will post it under this video. I'll post the link on this video as soon as I'm done with the show right now. A little bit more. Okay, so it was 2 cups of flour, 3/4 cups of salt, 4 teaspoons of cream of tartar. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to have 2 cups of lukewarm water. We're going to mix this. So what we're going to do here is we're going to mix. Okay, so we're going to be putting in 2 cups of lukewarm water. We'll play it by ear because that recipe doesn't sound right, but who knows. All right, we're going to put in a little bit of oil. So we're going to put in 2 tablespoons of oil. So 1, 2. You know, I know how that looks like. And what color should we make? Well, Christmas colors. Let's make some red Play-Doh. So we're going to go ahead and put the color in the water. Okay, and then we're just going to mix this all together. This definitely wasn't too cold. I think I wrote the recipe down wrong. But anyway, if you all are cool with hanging tight for 1 second, let me just check on something. I had to double check my recipe, you know, because I have this thing written down and stupid me forgot that, and I'm really not sure why we call for lukewarm water when we're heating it up. But anyway, okay, let's get back to the stove. This has got to be heated up, and that's what makes it work so good. Because, whoops, wrong burner. There we go. We put this all in the pot, and that's why it takes 4 cups of water, because the flour then soaks it all up as we cook. So let's put in a little bit more water, like we told us to do. And we're going to put more food coloring because I want it to be really bright, bright red. There we go. Now, sorry. You know, I have a million recipes in my head. And there's so many dishes that I can make for you just throwing them together with no recipe. Just because I can cook and make a lot of different things out of my head doesn't mean that I don't also follow recipes for different things. Like, I don't keep track of which different, because I have about 10 different, over the years with my 6 kids, I tried every Play-Doh recipe in the book. These are some of the better ones, but sometimes I forget which one's which one gets cooked, which one doesn't. So please forgive me. So we're gonna heat this up until it all soaks in. Oh, this is nice and bright. But you know what, food coloring, even when you use a lot of it, it's still not really red. It's a dark pink. But, you know. Now, if you use the paste, like if I went and got my Wilton paste colors, I could get a darker red out of this. I actually have there's one called Christmas Red. But this will work. And then you just cook this up. And it's going to thicken up just like my one with the cornstarch did. So this one, the cream of tartar helps give it its consistency, and I think it's partly helps maintain the, I don't know what it does, the shininess and the stickiness and the softness. And you do got to do this for a couple minutes. I have this on kind of a higher. Let's turn it down a little. Oh, it's getting thick. Okay, and you can see this is a nice thick gloppy mess that's going to become nice and pliable, and it'll stick together better once it's cooled off. And so with these 3 recipes, okay, so you just watch me make them. Oh, we got to check the ones that are in the oven. Hold on. Here, I'm sitting here gonna like be ready to go to what's next. All right, so they're not quite done yet, but they're getting there. And some of the recipes say to turn them over. We could. Let's get my big spatula. Let's see what they look like underneath. So you can tell the bottom is a little sticky. There we go. That says that maybe isn't a bad idea to turn them over. Plus it'll help keep them flat. Although these don't seem like they're curling up at all. There's one little piece of pink dough that fell off of my hands. Okay, we're gonna put these back in. These are really coming out cute. Now the other ones are still there. We just put those in separately, or secondly. So, wow, what a mess. But you know what? This is a fun mess. So, we have just made 3 different things. We've made 2 different kinds of ornament dough, the kind that's good to cook to then turn into ornaments. And then we made a Play-Doh, which once it's cooled off, you keep it in a Ziploc plastic bag or any kind of a completely sealed container, and you have Play-Doh to play with that won't harden unless you cook it. And I think my ornaments are done. So let's set you here on the kitchen counter just for a minute So it's going to be a little different angle, so not quite as good, you guys, but hold on. Nope, not quite done yet. This is, remember, these are low and slow, so they're cooking very slowly, and we want them to dry out nice and evenly. So that's why, oh, let's go back to where we were. That's why they're not quite done yet. So today, this is it. This is what you get of me. And if you have any questions or comments, put them under the main video. We'll come back, but you can make Play-Doh ornaments. They're going to be really cute. What I'm going to do later is paint them, and then I will post them, a picture of them with the recipes on my blog. So you can have the written recipes for the 3 different kinds of dough we made. 2 cooking ones to make ornaments out of, 2 different kinds, and then a 3rd one that is a Play-Doh that you can wrap up in a pretty way. Just make sure it's fully 100% airtight sealed, and then you've got it made. Okay? So you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you soon after I empty my iPhone. Don't forget, this is something else you can do at the table. Ciao.